Testing didn't come into play until 2003. They never tested positive. They were never reprimanded by the sport of Major League Baseball.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the sports rumors that ended up being more than just empty speculation.
I was aware that it was a very, 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 very high possibility.
Number 10. College football BCS poll manipulation. The Bowl Championship Series, or BCS, was used to determine the two teams that would play in the national championship game.
You guys know what the BCS stands for?
What?
Big, chaotic situation, especially after the earthquake that we had in college football last night.
Using human polling and computer rankings, it was claimed that the BCS system was truly the fairest way to do it. However, in 2003, the wheels fell off. Despite being outranked by LSU and USC in nearly every category, Oklahoma was still seen as the #1 team by BCS.
Oklahoma remains #1 by virtue of the points they piled up over the course of a dominating season prior to being dominated by Kansas State.
In other words, they got a spot in the final when in reality they deserved the bronze medal. This led to a suspicion over the BCS system, and that suspicion was proven to be correct. It was a flawed way to figure out finalists, and its limitations became clear in 2003.
The bottom line is the consensus #1 ranked team in both polls is not playing in the BCS title game. My opinion, guys, strictly my opinion, I believe that the BCS is now irrelevant.
Number 9. Brock Lesnar's UFC 200 appearance. When the UFC announced that the legendary former heavyweight champion Brock Lesnar was returning from retirement, it was a huge shock.
I picked up the phone, I called Dana White and said, listen, if there was any time for Brock Lesnar to come back, it would just make sense that it would be for UFC 200.
Sure, their landmark event, UFC 200, needed saving after their original headliners fell through, but suspicions were high that Lesnar had been dipping into banned substances in his off years.
You're just so big, and you come out of the world of pro wrestling.
We're done.
The UFC counteracted this by handing the WWE superstar exemptions from mandatory testing for any formerly retired fighters. In other words, they pulled some strings and fast-tracked him back into eligibility. He showed up on Fight Night and defeated Mark Hunt on the scorecards. Then, after a whole lot of speculation about his potential PED use, surprise, surprise, he tested positive. Anything in the name of a quick buck, it seems.
Well, let's get one thing clear. Brock Lesnar does what Brock Lesnar wants to do.
Number 8. Astros stealing signs. The Houston Astros were on top of the world after their 2017 World Series victory, but when things began to unravel, it got really ugly.
That 2017 World Series championship is also tainted in the minds of pretty much anybody in baseball.
In 2020, their first championship title came under scrutiny when it became known that the Astros had been stealing signs from opponents using hidden cameras.
The team holding a press conference to address its role in the sign-stealing scandal that has rocked baseball. The Astros accused of using a sophisticated video system and a more primitive code of trash can bangs to alert its batters to which pitches were coming.
Yeah, you heard us. They literally spied on opposition players to get a sense of what play was incoming. Then they would bang on trash cans in a kind of code to let their own players know what was coming. The consequences were a $5 million fine and the loss of 2 draft picks. But to this day, their 2017 World Series title stands.
Here's a ground ball right side, could do it. The Houston Astros are world champions.
Number 7. Calciopoli referee assignment fixing. On the long list of football corruption scandals, nothing in recent history had quite the hands-on effect that Calciopoli did.
But behind the dream come true was a nightmare, as the country's national pastime was hit by one of the biggest football scandals ever. Allegations of match rigging were at the heart of a story that would make headlines worldwide.
Several Serie A clubs, most notably Italian elites Juventus, were found to have engaged in referee assignment fixing. Executives at these clubs were influencing referee selection to get friendlier refs assigned to key matches, hoping for favorable decisions.
Officials uncovered evidence that some of the top people in Italian football were putting pressure on referees.
The investigation started after their general manager, Luciano Moggi, had his phone tapped and he was taped discussing refereeing appointments with Italian football officials.
This was a scandal that rocked Italian football, and Juventus were stripped of the title they won in 2005 and relegated to Serie B ahead of the following season. It was a controversy that hurt the legitimacy of the sport in Italy, even though they managed to win the World Cup in 2006.
Italy are the champions.
Number 6. FIFA bribery and World Cup bid scandals. Hosting the World Cup isn't just a prestigious assignment in football. It also provides a huge economic boost for the nation in question.
Host countries rely on the economic impact derived from the tournament. There are short-term and long-term, and it varies from country to country.
For years, there was speculation over shady behind-the-scenes dealings to secure votes for hosting duties. Then, 2 specific tournaments made the corruption clear.
From the outset, officials have insisted everything was above board.
The selection process for the 2018 and 2022 World Cups in Russia and Qatar, respectively, were found to have been tainted by a number of bribes and backroom payments. FIFA president Sepp Blatter eventually resigned over his part in the scandal, and increased regulations have since been imposed so this never happens again.
2 of the sport's most powerful figures, Sepp Blatter and Michael Platini, the former UEFA president, who was at the time a potential successor to Blatter, would be handed 8-year bans by the FIFA Ethics Committee.
Number 5. Patriots taping opponents' signals. One of the biggest scandals in 21st century American football came to light when the almighty New England Patriots were implicated in the infamous Spygate controversy.
During this game against the Jets, Bill Belichick's Patriots were caught videotaping the hand signals of New York's coaches in what eventually became known as Spygate.
In 2007, the Patriots, under coach Bill Belichick, were caught illegally videotaping the New York Jets defensive coach's signals during a game. It was later found that the Patriots had been doing this for quite some time, with Belichick offering up the weak excuse that he didn't know it was cheating.
We weren't trying to be discreet about it. Again, in all honesty, we felt like what we were doing was okay.
He received a $500,000 fine, the largest for a coach in NFL history. It was just one of the scandals that tainted the franchise's run of dominance through the 2000s.
It's over, and we're moving on. It's in the past. We're done with it.
Number 4. Harding-Kerrigan attack. One of the most grotesque and inexcusable moments in sporting history took place in 1994.
Tanya Harding believed she might not make the Olympic team because of a bias that favored Nancy Kerrigan. Jeff Gillooly hatched a plan.
Figure skaters Tanya Harding and Nancy Kerrigan were fierce rivals who were painted as polar opposites by the American media. The clean-cut Kerrigan and the edgier Harding. As both women competed for a spot on the 1994 Winter Olympics team, something truly unexpected happened.
The attack plunged Kerrigan's Olympic dreams into doubt and focused suspicion on rival skater Tanya Harding.
Kerrigan was brutally attacked after a practice session, leaving her unable to compete for that coveted Olympic Games spot. It was later found that Harding's ex-husband had hired the attacker, and that, as everyone had suspected, Harding herself was aware of the plan to sabotage her rival. Unsurprisingly, she was banned for life for her actions.
But as has happened too often in Tanya's life, the choice may not be hers to make.
Number 3. Lance Armstrong's doping scandal. He was a hero to many, a generational athlete, a cancer survivor, and a man who had done tremendous work with charity organizations over the years.
Before the Lance Armstrong Foundation, what it was like to have cancer was totally different. It was much more private and much more isolated.
Lance removed the stigma of being a young adult with cancer.
However, cycling's reputation for PED usage brought Armstrong under quite a lot of suspicion. Winning 7 consecutive Tour de France titles will do that. After years of aggressively defending himself and even being confrontational about it, Armstrong finally admitted his wrongdoings in 2013.
We did what we had to do to win.
He had been part of one of the most sophisticated doping scandals the world had ever known, and it immediately tore his reputation to shreds, ending his career then and there.
But I wouldn't change a thing. I've said that 3 times, and I'll say it again. I would not change a thing.
Number 2. Major League Baseball steroid use. Some people look back fondly on the steroid era of the MLB, mainly because of how electric it was when a lot of the biggest stars were juicing.
Down the left field line, is it enough? Gone! There it is! 62!
However, when the hammer finally fell and players like Barry Bonds and Mark McGwire were found out as cheaters, it hurt the credibility of baseball badly.
I'm not here to talk about the past.
There were practically no PED tests to deal with at this time, so the sport became a free-for-all. When all of this finally came to light, however, many Hall of Fame level careers had to be totally re-examined, and several players lost their honors.
You chose the money, and now you want your reputation back, and you can't have both.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. State-sponsored Russian doping. After many years of rumors, in 2014, the Russian government was found to be complicit in perhaps the biggest doping scandal of all time.
For years, international sports competitions have unknowingly been hijacked by the Russians. Coaches and athletes have been playing on an uneven field. Sports fans and spectators have been deceived.
The government, anti-doping authorities, and intelligence agencies were all working together to manipulate drug tests to win medals and national prestige. The whistleblower, Dr. Grigory Rodchenkov, risked his life and his family's safety in order to bring the truth to light.
My
own credibility is always on the line, because what I'm saying, it's absolutely shocking. And it was a state program which were so much thoroughly deliberate that I responsible for my particular part of work.
He was personally responsible for creating the PED cocktails and helping to manipulate test results. Russia was banned from competing in the 2016 Olympics, and the scandal shone a light on just how deep corruption can run in sports.
The exposure of state-sponsored doping in Russia led to a partial ban of Russian athletes at this year's Rio Olympics. Russian officials have dismissed the latest report as the work of only one individual.
Do you remember any of these scandals? Which sports rumor do you think is the most shocking? Let us know in the comments below.